Welcome to China Undercover, your source for deep dive analysis and unfiltered truths about contemporary China. A pervasive, bone-chilling silence has descended upon the People's Republic. The crisis isn't the familiar specter of a viral outbreak, but a more profound, existential horror. A massive, inexplicable population decrease. Where have China's purported 1.4 billion residents gone? The once throbbing heart of major metropolises now beats faintly. Shanghai's world-class avenues stand eerily deserted. Rural hamlets, which once housed generations, are dissolving into ghost towns. Even the itinerant populations, the street vendors and the panhandlers, seem to have been swept away. The terrifying question is no longer if the population is shrinking, but how much and why. The empty quarter, cities and villages, ghostly quiet. The alarming emptiness permeates every level of Chinese society, from the glittering high-rises to the forgotten countryside. A striking feature of this demographic mystery is the palpable lack of people in areas that should, by all previous experience, be teeming. Consider the footage shared by countless digital diarists across the mainland, the supposed economic engines of the nation. Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen now appear dramatically depopulated. One online commentator showcased a main pedestrian thoroughfare in Shanghai, typically a surging river of consumers on a Sunday, where not a single soul was in sight. This isn't happening in third-tier towns. It's the nation's financial and technological epicenters. For those who live there, the change is visceral. A 3-decade resident of Guangzhou remarked on the transformation of his daily life. In the past, walking outside meant pushing through crowds. Now, after 7 p.m., the main streets are hushed. After 10, they're dead. I almost hesitate to leave my home. The local public squares, once filled with exercise groups and playing children, are now desolate. The commercial impact is irrefutable. Rental rates in Shanghai have plummeted to levels not seen in over a decade. In Shenzhen, the hub of manufacturing and technology, with its officially cited 17 million-plus permanent inhabitants, shopping centers on weekends look like off-season attractions. The industrial parks of Bao'an, which used to blaze with factory lights all night, are now vast, dark caverns of stillness. Retail and service sectors are in freefall. A small business owner in a once bustling district mourned. It's not just a drop in sales. The customers themselves have disappeared. My income is half what it was last year. We can't survive this. The decay in the countryside is even more profound. A village that was home to 57 families now houses fewer than 10, mostly the infirm and the aged. Another, once 200 strong, has fewer than 20 remaining. For almost a decade in some areas, there hasn't been the sound of a wedding procession or the cry of a newborn. Only the relentless sound of silence and the slow collapse of abandoned structures. The hidden toll, data discrepancies, and mass casualties. The most immediate and terrifying explanation for the disappearing population points toward a catastrophic death toll, ruthlessly suppressed by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, following the global health crisis that began in 2020. The official narrative speaks of a slight decline, citing a 2024 population of 1.408 billion, a decrease of only 1.39 million from the previous year. Yet, the physical evidence of empty cities and the sheer proliferation of new burial sites globally contradict this benign assessment. The evidence of hidden mortality is chillingly abundant. Soaring mortality rates. Since 2021, the CCP's mandatory, domestically produced vaccine campaign has drawn intense scrutiny. Persistent, unverified reports on social media platforms, including one widely circulated on X, allege mass casualties among older populations, specifically those in their 60s, who received multiple doses. In our village, nearly all the elders who got 3 or 4 shots are dead, claimed one post, echoing countless others. A netizen shared a viral video where a woman recounted a journey through a county in Heilongjiang province, noting the overwhelming number of fresh graves, which her relative grimly attributed to the pandemic-era inoculation drive. The common refrain online is that people are dying like chickens, with deaths occurring frequently even in villages of only a couple of thousand inhabitants. The male mortality crisis. An analysis of the 2020 census data, as highlighted by an online observer, suggests a staggering anomaly. The male population in the 40-50 age bracket was almost 3 times smaller than in the 2010 census. This decade, according to the analysis, marked the beginning of a spike in male deaths. Furthermore, the rate of sudden deaths in China is cited as the world's highest, with over 500,000 cases annually, 72% of victims being men, with a strikingly young average age of 32. This demographic collapse aligns with a massive surge in reported post-vaccination health complications like lung nodules, leukemia, myocarditis, and severe thromboembolic events. The Ghostly Festival public concern reached a fever pitch during the Ghost Festival, Jiayang Festival, on September 5, 2025. The sheer volume of burnt joss paper, traditional offerings for the dead, in the streets was unprecedented, transforming city pavements into scenes of constant, smoky ritual. The unspoken, terrifying consensus was simple. Too many people have died. This vast, visible act of public mourning is widely interpreted as a silent protest and evidence of a demographic catastrophe that the regime is trying to bury. The statistical abyss. Independent analyses further shatter the CCP's official figures. Calculations by the XAI Grok3 system, using the CCP's own published data points, estimated that 150 to 200 million individuals vanished during the pandemic period. Other unofficial reports suggest the real, online registered population might be as low as 760 million. Japanese demographic researchers, using consumption data like salt, have estimated the actual population is closer to 800 million. The disparity between official reports and reality, such as the Ministry of Public Security registering 1.7 million fewer newborns than the National Bureau of Statistics, suggests a massive systemic data fraud designed to obscure the magnitude of the loss. The dark core. Organ trafficking and elite longevity. Adding a layer of terrifying, unspeakable menace to the disappearances is the persistent and long-standing allegation of forced organ harvesting, a dark secret that many believe links the highest echelons of the CCP to the lowest levels of societal fear. The world was shocked by an alleged conversation between Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping during a September 3 military parade in Beijing, inadvertently captured by a Western microphone. The casual discussion of organ transplants and living to 100 years old, though quickly scrubbed from state media, reignited international scrutiny of the CCP's hidden longevity programs for its top leadership. The reality, according to long-term analysts, is that the CCP elite has for decades pursued radical life extension efforts, with organ transplantation at its core. Project 981, initiated as early as 2005, was an official health program for top leaders, including a 150-year longevity project. By 2008, the average life expectancy of Chinese senior leaders reportedly reached 88, drastically higher than the general population. The horrific implication for the populace is that a demand for young, healthy organs creates a system where no one is truly safe. Bitter jokes circulating on Chinese social media reflect this paranoia. If you twist your ankle, would you dare go to the hospital? The most sought-after organs are from individuals aged 16 to 30, healthy and in the prime of life. The fear is now so pervasive that ordinary citizens avoid hospitals entirely when sick, terrified that checking in could be a one-way trip into the abyss. This terror provides a profound, sinister context for why so many young and healthy people have seemingly vanished without a trace, their deaths obscured by the state's obsessive secrecy. A triple crisis: economic collapse, repression, and lost trust. The widespread fear and demographic collapse are compounded by a devastating confluence of crises: a collapsing economy, intensified authoritarian control, and the complete erosion of social cohesion, pushing the citizenry to the breaking point. The economic and social grind. The downturn is far more than a typical recession. It is an existential threat to ordinary life. Essentials like food, housing, healthcare, and education have become crippling burdens. Poverty and cost of living. A freelancer from Guangdong province noted that while income evaporates, food prices are soaring, medical costs are astronomical, and housing is unattainable for young people. Basic necessities are becoming unaffordable luxuries. Healthcare degradation. Since the 2019 centralized drug procurement reforms, the quality of medical care has reportedly degraded year after year. Instances of faulty syringes, insufficient anesthesia, and even patients waking up during surgery point to a public health system that is fiscally starved and functionally collapsing. Mass unemployment. The departure of foreign capital has triggered a wave of job losses. Young people cannot find work, and even basic jobs, like security guards, are no longer available to those over 60. Migrant workers, the backbone of China's industrial machine, are being forced back to their empty home villages. Commercial desolation. 2/3 of shops in new mid to high-end malls are shuttered. Office towers are empty shells. The decline is stark and universally felt. Environmental decay. As local governments prioritize revenue, they form interest alliances with major polluters, turning a blind eye to environmental laws. Severe pollution events, from toxic gas releases to major sewage incidents, are deteriorating the quality of life and shrinking the space for healthy living. The paranoia of repression. The space for free expression has shrunk to a pinprick, creating a climate of universal suspicion and self-censorship. Digital purge. One resident's WeChat account was blocked 6 times for negative comments, eventually leading to a permanent ban. Dissent on social media doesn't just block the individual. It can take down entire chat groups. Even posting cautiously on platforms like X can lead to police showing up at one's door with a stern warning. Silencing voices. Activists attempting to travel to Beijing to lodge official complaints, pétitioners, are immediately flagged and intercepted, with many reportedly detained in illegal black jails until major state events pass. The regime is systematically silencing dissent. But this pressure cooker of grievances is expected to eventually rupture. The collapse of trust. The combined force of economic hardship and pervasive surveillance has annihilated social trust. Social fragmentation, economic strain, and rising conflict have driven trust to an absolute zero. Neighbors are strangers, communities are fractured, and self-preservation is the only ruling principle. Erosion of morality. Long-term political indoctrination has eroded moral baselines, leading to shocking acts of self-interest and depravity. Student disappearances. The disturbing trend of frequent student disappearances, with the government allegedly failing to investigate or actively covering up the truth, has profoundly shaken public faith. Many citizens now openly question the regime's competence and even its true intentions. A fresh scourge. The surge of respiratory viruses. Amidst the political and demographic upheaval, a new public health crisis is unfolding, reigniting mass anxiety and memories of the dark years of lockdown. During the most recent National Day holiday, a rapid, widespread wave of severe respiratory illness erupted across the country. Health officials were forced to confirm that the primary culprit is the respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, a highly contagious pathogen for which no specific cure or vaccine exists. Hospital overload. The infection rate surged in a matter of days, overwhelming hospitals nationwide. In Shanghai, the Children's Hospital affiliated with Fudan University reported a positivity rate of 40% among its young patients, some barely a month old. Severe complications. Social media is flooded with accounts of children suffering from severe pneumonia and respiratory failure, many requiring intensive care. Parents have described being asked to sign critical condition waivers for their infants. Similar outbreaks are sweeping through provinces like Henan, Jiangxi, and Zhejiang. High contagion and risk. Medical experts warn that RSV is approximately 2.5 times more infectious than the seasonal flu. While initially presenting as a common cold, it can rapidly progress to severe complications, including heart damage, encephalitis, and even death. With only symptomatic treatment available, prompt hospitalization for severe cases is essential. The tide is receding, exposing a backward, brutal political system beneath the former economic boom. This moment marks both an unprecedented public awakening and the accelerated beginning of the regime's potential collapse. The critical question for every person within China remains: how can anyone truly be safe in an era defined by fear, disappearance, and absolute political turmoil? Your engagement is vital. Share your thoughts on these developments in the comments below. If this analysis resonated with you, share it widely. Your support fuels our independent journalism at China Undercover. Subscribe and hit like for continuous updates.